wake up one day and just start using heroin.
I'd probably say the first time that I used a drug was around the age of 13.
My son, Taylor Richardson, he was 24 years old when he passed. He was addicted to heroin.
And I'm here to talk about how my mom was on heroin and how it affected me and my siblings.
And I started with marijuana. That led to experiment with cocaine, and probably around the age of 15 I tried my first opiate. That was a pain pill.
Growing up, it was luxury. My grandparents took care of me, but I knew right from wrong. I played sports, had scholarships.
My parents are very loving. I have an amazing family, you know. We all get along. We have family events. I mean, we do all kinds of stuff. I didn't have a bad childhood growing up.
I grew up with great parents. I made good grades in school. I was popular. There were no signs that would say that I would be a heroin addict.
And then one day, I just decided to take a pill. One pill.
It did start with pills.
She first started off small and was on little drugs like pills and stuff for about 1.5 years.
So I started with low milligram pain pills, Vicodins, Percocets.
There was a couple parties I did cocaine at. You know, I'd be drunk. I would, do a couple lines of coke. I smoked weed a couple of times, tried that.
They got to be not enough. I moved up to hydrocodone and Oxycontin.
I tried Percocet for the first time, and it started off to where it would just be something fun we did on the weekends, and then it progressed. It would be like, oh, well, let's, it'd be like Wednesday. It'd be like, well, it was a bad day. Let's get a couple pills. And
So after that, I'm like, well, let me try to take a couple more pills.
So at that point was when it was too late. I couldn't stop. I wasn't getting high to have fun anymore. I was getting high to live.
And then I hit a hard road. I was doing crack cocaine, smoking, snorting, and all that.
At that point, they got to be too expensive. And that was the first time I tried heroin.
And then it got to the point where pills it wasn't enough. It wasn't working for me anymore.
Once they start with pills and they can't get that high no more, they go on to the heroin.
As the years progressed on, she started doing more serious drugs, and then it progressed into heroin.
And then one of our friends came over and he had heroin. And I tried it, and it was done.
So there was this new drug, heroin. Snorted it a couple times. I'm like, yeah, I like this. Then one of my friends ended like, here, shoot it up, put it in the needle. So I'm like, okay. Tried it one time. That's all it takes, one time.
I started shooting it up. That was when it got 10 times worse, 10 times quicker.
There was no turning back, even if I wanted to.
Spent all of our money on drugs. I had my car repossessed twice. We had our electric shut off several times because we would spend the money on drugs.
Things in our house did come up missing. Money stolen.
It got to the point where they were taking stuff from us and selling it to get money for drugs, stuff that we needed, food stamps, stuff like that.
Didn't have enough money to afford it, waking up every day, having to go search for money to get it so you wouldn't be sick.
We were stealing, we were lying, we were cheating, we were manipulating. It was crazy.
I honestly don't know how we survived half the time. Waking up, not knowing what your day's going to be like, going to sleep, not knowing if you're going to eat the next day.
I had a Jeep. I sold my Jeep for nothing.
You will literally do anything to get your next fix.
We lost everything, and later on I ended up finding out that all my mom needed was $100 to save the house, and she spent it that day on heroin.
And my grandma had some jewelry, and I stole her jewelry, and it was about a $1,300 ring, and I got $50 out of it. But it didn't matter. I didn't care.
And constantly lying to me, or Mom, can I have $5? Can I have $10? I need gas money, or I'm going to go out to eat.
Because for years, nothing affected me. Even if it did affect me, the heroin was so controlling that I didn't allow it to sink in.
And the day that my car got repossessed, I had found a bike on the side of the road, and I rode that up to Cashland to take, I don't even know what it was, like a DVD player or something I was only going to get like $10 for, but I didn't care. I rode that bike up to Cashland to get what I wanted, and I went next door and I got my drugs. And I didn't tell my kid's dad that that's what I was doing.
I've lost, I couldn't even begin to tell you how much money, cars, but most of all, trust, loyalty, friendship, and family.
You know, we weren't those kind of people. That wasn't who we were, but the drugs just made us two totally different people. And you know, that's not me. I don't do that. I don't steal. I don't do that, you know, and I did just to be able to get what I wanted. And
we ended up staying at a little motel by the gas station. And one day, my dad came with my grandpa to pick us up, and they said, we're going to get the stuff out the house, we're going to get a storage facility, and we're going to move you guys down here.
Nobody can get into an addict's mind but an addict. I can tell you that for those of you out there that have family members that are dealing with this addiction, you've got to have faith in them. You've got to pull them up somehow. Let them know that they are worth something.
Said, hey, this is going to be good, I'm going to live with my dad now and live with my mom at the same time. Well, we lived there for about 2 weeks, and then stuff started to get bad because she started going up to Columbus to work, strip and stuff, to get money and do things for money, to get drugs, and she'd come back down. And then my dad would get drunk and beat up on her and then take it out on me.
Everybody has a different rock bottom.
I OD'd, and I woke up in the middle of a parking lot where somebody just dumped me out. Like, I got lucky because they called the squad. Some people dump people and you don't know, and then they're just gone, they're missing person, and they're dead. I mean, they stole my shoes. But I'd rather them steal my shoes than steal my life.
And it was just a non-ending cycle. Jail, get out, do it again. Jail, go out, do it again.
And I could pretty much say as long as I was using, I was trying to get clean.
that morning my dad showed up at the apartment. And the look on my dad's face when he seen, you know, what I had become, I can't even put it into words. I mean, he was just so hurt and disappointed. And, I mean, my life was completely unmanageable. So he was like, all right, we'll get your stuff. I'm taking the kids. And the next day I was in rehab.
Starting through detox, there's nothing that can compare to it. Let alone the physical pain, the vomiting, the diarrhea, the sweats, the restless leg syndrome. You go through so much mental anguish. You literally could jump off a bridge, and you would do that just to not have to feel the way that you do.
And my mom got out, and she signed me up for school, got school clothes, we were doing good, and I started to actually trust her again, and then she ended up doing it. She ended up failing her drug test and going to jail, and it's just, I've never felt so hurt in my life.
Two of the scariest things happened to me when I went into rehab, and it was going there and it was leaving. Because I knew that when I opened that door to go into treatment, I was opening the door, you know, to a new life, to get better. But when I left, the only thing that changed was me. The world didn't change. Nobody in this town changed, you know. The drugs didn't leave this town when I came back. You know, that all depended on me. And I had to stay strong, and I had to do what I had to do to make sure that I stayed clean.
My son was clean for 9 months. People, places, and things can trigger an addict.
Because people's going to convince you or try to persuade you to do something. It might be little, but then it's just going to escalate. And then you're going to escalate right into the hospital or in a casket.
And about a week later, I relapsed. I mean, you can't make somebody get clean. You can't. They'll be done when they want to be done.
Everybody that is an addict is going to relapse. That is part of your recovery. He just didn't make it through his relapse.
It's hard to love and be around somebody who really isn't their self anymore. When something so powerful takes over your family, it really takes over your family, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
I can't be hypocritical and tell someone you have to get clean. I can't do that, but I can tell you how much better the clean life is.
And I remember everything the day that I stopped. And I was playing with my little boy and my little girl and enjoying, having fun and watching them smile and watching them laugh. And every night I would lay in my bed and I would hold them and I would just pray, that I would get better and that I wouldn't have to do this anymore and that I wanted to be normal again, whatever normal is. I didn't want to be using anymore. I wanted to be the old Amanda. I wanted to be able to enjoy life. I wanted to be able to enjoy watching my kids grow up. I wanted to have a job, my own place, my own car, everything. And I would pray every night that God would get me through it. And I was just waiting and waiting and waiting for some sort of sign because I wanted to be done. I did. But you can't do it by yourself. And I was laying, playing with my kids, and I just, that next morning, normally I would wake up in the morning, try to figure out what I was going to do to get high, and that next morning I didn't. I woke up and I just started playing with my kids.
But once you get to that point and you can start waking up in the morning and you don't hurt, you wake up in the morning and you actually want to be up. And you're okay with that, and you're starting to be more productive and more social and interacting. And right around those times, that's when you start realizing how terrible you've been living and how much better this life is.
And don't even mess with the streets. As soon as you get into the streets, you're getting into the drugs. As soon as you get into the drugs, you're getting into stealing, catching charges, going to prison, going to jail, etc., probation.
And it's just, you can't imagine the pain that you go through, the pain in your heart, and more than that, the guilt. It took me months and months and months to get over the guilt for the things that I had done while high or trying to get high. The unthinkable things that Talia would never do.
I understand you don't think about the hurt that you put everybody else through when you do this. But you got to sit back and ask yourself, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? Who are you going to leave behind if you overdose and don't come out of it? Who are you leaving behind? Who is it that loves you? Who is it that cares for you the most? Do you have kids? Because they're the ones that's going to pay the price.
Don't even ever try it. Don't even question it, because you never know that one time that you do it, it will grab you and it will imprison you and it will not let go. And there's only one way out, and it's through recovery, because everyone can. I was the worst of the worst, and I've made it out, and so can everyone else.
For a parent, this is the worst experience ever. Some of you have been through it, some of you haven't. You've got to take a hold of your kids. Don't enable them. Let them know that you love them.
if you are doing it, please just stop. Get help. Don't be ashamed to get help. It's people that's helping you. They've probably been through the same thing, just like I have.
You can't try it. You can't do it one time. And, you know, what if that first time that you try it, who knows what kind of dip you're going to get. Who knows? Maybe that's going to be what'll kill you. You don't know.
That was